I'm Kieron Conway and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Right, so a fight that I was really looking forward to this past weekend on the Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders undercard was fellow Brit Kieron Conway. Now he was going to take on Frenchman Souleymane Cissokho. Cissokho, of course, is managed by Anthony Joshua and a former Olympic bronze medalist. I was really looking forward to this fight, and I've said for quite some time that Kieron Conway, he seems to hold all the tools necessary to go on and do something very, very special in the sport. Ultimately, it's up to him and, of course, his management team in MTK, how they go forward with their opponent selection, all that kind of thing going forward. But I do feel that Kieron Conway is going to do something very, very special in the sport because he's got the militant mindset, if that's the right word, to really, really dedicate himself to the sport. In fact, when I met him, and he's as tall as what I am. I mean, I'm 6'2". I don't know exactly how tall he is, but he seems like he's about my height, and he's a super welterweight. And I remember looking at him and I'm talking to him and I'm thinking, I would struggle to make light heavyweight, let alone super welterweight. And he seemed to do it quite comfortably. But as I said before, he seemed to have the whole bag of tricks, and he's very, very comfortable with his back against the ropes. Very, very comfortable. He's an excellent counter puncher. And even though he's an orthodox fighter, what I feel his biggest weapon is his left. The way that he throws the left to the body and the screw shot uppercut is elite. It really is, and it's devastating. And I think Cissokho knew that coming into this fight. He knew that Kieron Conway is very, very comfortable when opponents go at him. That's where Kieron Conway is at home. He's very, very comfortable with that. He's okay at eating up shots at times and that as well. But his defense is very, very good when he's on the back foot. I think Cissokho looked at him and said, I'm not going to have your back against the ropes in this fight. You're going to chase me. Let's see how you get on chasing me down. I'm just going to throw the jab at you. Cissokho, one of his biggest tools is, of course, the uppercut himself. Again, I'm pretty sure Kieron Conway knew that coming into this fight, which I do feel is maybe one of the reasons why maybe he's a little bit apprehensive about engaging at times in case that uppercut was going to come through. But at the same time, Cissokho, very, very tricky to trap. Cissokho was clearly the smaller fighter in this one. You could see. It's almost like Kieron Conway was a super middleweight in that ring, and Cissokho, he looked like a super lightweight. That's almost what the size difference looked like. But of course, Cissokho, very, very good on his feet. But Cissokho will be used to sharing the ring with big, strong guys. He's being trained by Virgil Hunter alongside Joshua Buatsi, who's a light heavyweight. So of course, these guys would have been sharing the ring together. Both of these guys, Buatsi and Cissokho, both managed by Anthony Joshua. So he will be very comfortable after doing however many rounds with Joshua Buatsi to go in there with Kieron Conway and not be intimidated by this big guy coming at him. Now, Cissokho, with his elite background of his amateur pedigree, he's a very, very good boxer. And while Kieron Conway is very, very good on the back foot himself, I think Cissokho was trying to take him out of his comfort zone and was trying to make him chase him down. And there's nothing worse than fighting somebody when they don't want to engage with you. It's very, very difficult. It's very, very frustrating. And I think that's what Kieron Conway was kind of struggling with a little bit in this fight. And that's something that he's going to have to work on going forward. And I do feel that going forward as well, the ideal opponent for him, once he's been practicing all this trapping his opponent in sparring in the gym, the ideal opponent really for him to utilize that and say, right, okay, that's a big box ticked for me right there, that I can trap the opponents who are quite slippery, who move a lot. Somebody like a Athenia Byfield. He's a guy who will do that, but at times, Athenia Byfield will engage as well. He's probably the ideal opponent going forward. Now, I do feel this fight was a lot closer than I think a lot of people were having it. A lot of people I've seen on social media saying how one of the judges who gave it to Kieron Conway, he should be struck off and he's an absolute embarrassment and blah, blah, blah. But if you really look at the fight, how many shots were actually landing from Cissokho? A lot of them were landing on the gloves, on the arms, on the elbows of Kieron Conway. The only real shots that were kind of landing quite regularly was the jab. Kieron Conway, he doesn't waste punches. So I think if you were to look at the percentages, I don't know what the percentages are, percentages thrown to percentages landed, I would imagine the percentages would probably be in the favour of Kieron Conway. Cissokho threw more punches, of course, but how many of them were actually point landing shots? I think a lot of fans, they score fights as well on who is more eye-catching in the fight, such as who is the one moving around, who's the busier fighter. Again, that's not point winning. It isn't. It's always shots thrown, shots landed. Eye-catching shots. They're the ones that get you the points, and of course, drop your opponent, hurt your opponent, whatever it may be. But Kieron Conway, he hurt Cissokho for sure in round number 9. It was a 10-round fight. And again, with that screw uppercut, that left uppercut that Kieron Conway throws, he threw like a flurry of punches, and the last one got through. And I don't know whether it caught Cissokho on the cheek or the jaw, or it may have actually been the eye. I'm not entirely sure, but Cissokho just turned his back and just went down. I thought, yes, he's got him. Excellent, he's got him. And I'm imploring Kieron Conway, once Cissokho gets up, I'm imploring him to just empty the tank on him. Just throw the kitchen sink at him. Just do everything that you could possibly do. Get him out of there. But Kieron, I think, I don't know whether he was a little bit tired. I don't know whether it was a case of he was just sticking to the game plan, but he didn't really engage him. He didn't jump all over him, which is what I really, really wanted him to do. But either way, Cissokho, he gets the win. I mean, you could probably argue it's probably a fair result for Cissokho to get the win. But as I said before, a lot of the shots that Cissokho were throwing weren't really landing. But I feel that Kieron Conway at times wasn't busy enough. Maybe that's why he didn't get the decision in the end. But I think going forward with Kieron Conway, of course, he comes from Northampton, along with the likes of Chantal Cameron and, of course, a couple of other ones. But I think these two particularly, when you look at the landscape of what it is that they can do for their town of Northampton, they're both very, very proud for where they come from and representing the town of Northampton, where both of these guys are 2, maybe 3 good wins away from Eddie Hearn Matchroom going, you know what, let's put a show on in Northampton. Because Northampton's not a sporting city. They've got the football club at Sixfields, the Cobblers, and they are a lot of old cobblers, let's be honest, they're not very good. But Northampton Town don't really have any kind of sporting heroes. They're not famous for celebrities, they're not famous for not too much, other than maybe Des O'Connor has history from there, or Adam Carr has history from there, or that lad, is it Matt somebody who played Doctor Who, was from Northampton. But sporting heroes, they don't really have them from Northampton too much. They've got some local celebrities, of course. But for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, or even MTK, to go, you know what, let's put a show on at the Sixfields football stadium there. Was it 10,000 or 12,000, something like that? Let's maybe put on one at the cricket ground next to Abington Park, which actually used to be the old football ground. You can put one at Beckett's Park or whatever it may be, or the racecourse, open air. Derngate for a little bit smaller. I think for Eddie Hearn and MTK to look at Northampton and go, right, let's give it a go. It's going to need Kieron Conway and Chantal Cameron together, really, to get a good couple of wins under their belt and say, right, okay, let's give it a go. And hopefully they do. And I'm sure that Northampton is somewhat of a sleeping giant where they want to get behind people. They want to get behind their own. They really do. I mean, they've been suffering for a long, long time watching their football club. I mean, their rugby team's pretty good. I don't watch rugby. But I think getting behind Chantal Cameron and Kieron Conway, and of course a couple of others, is something that they would love to do. And hopefully they are. But in order for them to do it, they have to be aware of who they are. They have to know about them. Anyway, going forward, hopefully that's what they do. But as I said before, I think that Kieron Conway, his next opponent, or at least an opponent 2 down the line, should be somebody like a senior Byfield. He's going to have to fight somebody who will fight on the back foot. Somebody where Kieron Conway is going to have to really, really rush him at times and try and trap him. That's the ideal opponent, somebody like a senior Byfield, or ideally, for me, I think the perfect opponent for Kieron Conway, as far as getting a big name on his resume, would be a Scott Fitzgerald. I don't think Scott Fitzgerald can hang with Kieron Conway. Scott Fitzgerald, yes, he's a very good back foot fighter at times, but he does like to come forward. He does like to engage. That is home territory for Kieron Conway. I don't think Scott Fitzgerald can hang with Kieron Conway. I really don't. But either way, he didn't do himself any kind of harm with his performance. At the end of the day, he took on Cissokho, a former Olympic bronze medalist. So he has done very, very well. And he does seem to have the mentality of, it's a learning curve. That's all it is. And he's going to take it too much to heart. It's going to hurt, of course it is. But it isn't going to define him. If anything, I think it'll probably motivate him and improve him. Maybe some of the things that he hasn't really been working on in the gym, now he will. And he'll be adding to that ever-growing toolbox of his. But anyway, that's my thoughts on this fight. You drop me yours. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.